So today we're going to go through and we're going to work on the rebates or the rabbets of the edges of some of the sides. Now, as you can see, this is just a 12 mil wide by 6 mil deep notch cut out on the end of each one. And if it was done through the center, it would be called a housing because it's had a central part moved out and then it can house something. Now, as you can see, they've already been done here, so you understand what's going on. You could go through and do this using a chisel, a mallet, and a tenon saw. However, we can also use a router and a jig. And we're gonna take you through how to use this jig and router right now. Now, first things first, always make sure you've got correct safety equipment. Apron, as you can see, I'm wearing safety glasses, earmuffs, and of course, you're in the workshop, so if you've got long hair, it's tied up. You've also removed any rings, bangles, or anything else, any other accessories that could cause potential harm. So step one is we're going to use our jig. And as you can see, it's a pretty basic rudimentary jig, but it works and it works well. So step one is you need to put this section into the vise and do it up. Now it doesn't need to be done overly tight, but you definitely don't want it moving anywhere. That would be dangerous. So you put it into and lock it in the vise. Then you're going to get your piece. You're going to sit it with the face that's going to be on the inside up. You're going to push it in. As you can see, push it up and then push it to the right. And that's why we've got this little L drawn there in blue to say it needs to be hard up against these two edges. You will then get your screwdriver and not a drill, but a screwdriver, and you're going to tighten these ones. Now the reason we're using a screwdriver and not a cordless drill is because we want to be very intentional about not applying too much tension and pressure. You want it to be tight, but not so tight that any part of the jig breaks or that you drill, it pulls through the timber. After you've done that, come through and try and move your piece. And if it's not moving, then you head in the right direction. From there, you've got your jig set up, and we're going to introduce you to the router now. Now, this is one of the routers. It's a bit of an old beast, this one, but it's old and awesome. Now, I don't want you setting up the router yourself, which means if a router's not set up for this, then please come and see me and I will set one up. The reason is because these little bits here, they spin very, very, very fast. And if they're not in correctly, they can either cut incorrectly and jump around a bit, or they can fling out. And that's extremely dangerous when you have a sharp piece of metal flying in a random location or direction. When you're running a router, it's very important to realize if you put too much pressure, this will move and you'll change the height. So you hold it on there, but you're not applying excess pressure. You're not trying to force it down. You just hold it steady. Another thing is this is both the on and off button right here. And what you saw just then was number one is as you turn it on, it's going to kick. And the second thing is that this spins really fast. So you're wanting to keep anything out of this general area through here or that there. It also means that when we're doing routering, we're not going to be watching the blade bit. We've got the jig as a guide, so we can run it along this edge here. And the aim is that you will run it along this edge here, butt it up against there and run it along, and you'll get a perfect cut. But if for some reason you don't, and you pull it back a little bit, this second one will also give you a nice, great cut. It'll just remove another 1/2 mil so that you've got that forward and back. All right, so glasses on, earmuffs on. When you're routering, it's very important that you make sure that you have access for the router to fit in and go through, which we do. You always want to check both sides just in case something's gone wrong with the jig. And then you also want to come through and you sit it just off your piece and you start it. Then you will run it through the whole way, get it to it's just not touching anything again, and then stop it. You just let it stop spinning and you leave it there until it's finished. You never start a router up in the air or anything like that because it can damage the cord or hurt yourself or someone else. When you do this, you move it in, you set it up, and I'm putting pressure forward and I'm looking down, but I'm looking down onto this edge, not onto the blade. Start it up, I'm just going to very slowly move it across. stop and you stay there. Now, with a router, when you're cutting the front edge, you always go left to right. If you're cutting the back edge, you go right to left. But we're gonna run left to right. It says here first and an arrow, so you're always gonna run left to right. Now, if for example, you did a bad quality cut there and you bumped back a little bit into this, you can then pull it back towards you and redo that running back through. It'll take a little bit more off, but I've done a great cut and we're gonna leave it there. Now, please be especially careful when doing this. It's very noisy, it's very dangerous, and we want you to have all your fingers and all your skin and all of your hair. So please take care, be intentional, ensure that no one's around, and ensure that you are comfortable with the router. Once again, before you router, please make sure that I am near you so that I am there to assist if anything goes wrong, but also there to support you and make sure that you're doing it in the correct way. Thank you very much, good luck, and we'll see you in the next video.